Alright, in this video I want to show you something interesting here. Now, in Matthew chapter 24, Christ is telling the disciples about what it's going to be like at the end of the world, right? And he starts off giving them some signs about what's going on, and talks about the abomination of desolation, and talking about, hey, as lightning comes from the east and shines to the west, so also would the coming of the Son of Man be. So you see this quick lightning strike. But then he tells you at the end of the tribulation, you'll see him coming in the clouds, right? That's a little bit different from lightning. But I explained that in another video. That's not what I want to focus on, because what is being told here is two different things. Before the actual tribulation, there's a lightning strike, as in the rapture. Immediately John is caught up. Enoch is no more. You've been changed in the twinkle of an eye, all over the earth, like a lightning strike. Gone. And what comes after the lightning strike? Thunder, no, a trumpet blast, which is exactly what the Jews have traditionally been teaching about when the Messiah is going to come back, is the world's going to hear the trumpet blast. We're going to hear, come up hither. The world's going to hear this loud noise. So, after that, we have the tribulation. And then Jesus comes back in the clouds. Then he gives you a sign to let you know when this is about to happen. He tells you of the fig tree, which represents Israel. And just like when he cursed the fig tree to no longer produce fruit, it withered up, so did Israel wither up and was cast apart. But he says when you see the fig tree come back and it put forth its leaves, notice it's not producing fruit, but is bringing forth leaves, you know the time is coming. The ones who see this happen is the same generation that won't pass until they see all these things come to pass. So he's letting you know what's going to happen before this. The fig tree is back. Israel is back. It's producing leaves. A generation is 70 to 80 years. We're coming to that point, right? And this is what I was actually wanted to look at. I wanted to read more on this. We're at verse 36, but it says, "But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only." Now I wanted to focus on that and meditate on it, and I wanted to look at it in the context of what is being said. And in the context of this, he's letting them know that this is a sign that all these things that I just told you are about to happen. And keep in mind, he's talking to Israel. He's talking to the Jews, not to the church. Right? And he's letting them know that it's going to be like in the days of Noah. And if you go to the Luke passage, he adds in that it's also going to be like in the days of Lot. And Lot was taken out before the destruction. Enoch was taken out before Noah's flood. And it even talks about here about how there'd be two in the field, one shall be taken, the other left. Two at the mill, one taken, one left. Even in the other passage about two in their beds, and one's taken, one's left. So he's letting these Jews know that the rapture is a sign that all of this is about to happen. And it's interesting because they teach that trumpet blast is letting them know that the time has come. And that trumpet blast is actually going to be the rapture when one is left and one is taken. This is the warning sign Jesus has given them to let them know that this is all about to happen. And I was thinking about this, and I was like, yeah, this connects to the Feast of Trumpets. What I really want to get into is over here, but I'm laying down a little bit of a foundation first. Now, the Feast of Trumpets is the day and hour nobody knows, because the Feast of Trumpets is on the new moon. I shouldn't say it's on the new moon. It's right after the new moon when you see the first slither of the moon. And you don't know what day or hour that's going to be when you're going to see the first sliver. You don't know what day that is, and you don't know what hour of the night you're going to actually see that first sliver. So it's the day and hour nobody knows. And that's the feast of the day and hour nobody knows. So Jesus, being a Jew, is telling them it's the Feast of Trumpets, right? Just like he's done everything that he's ever done and fulfilled on a feast. Passover, he's offered himself as the Passover lamb. The days of unleavened bread, he is the sinless Word of God. First fruits, he is the first fruits raising from the dead. Pentecost, he pours out the Spirit upon the church. We just have 3 feasts left to be done. The Feast of Trumpets, the Feast of Atonement, and the Feast of Tabernacles. The next one is trumpets, right? So we look at that, it's actually Jewish tradition that the Messiah has a wedding, and it's on Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is the first day of the year. The first month is in the April-May at Abib or Haviv, but the beginning of the year is Rosh Hashanah, which is in our September-October time frame in the 7th month. And the beginning of that year, the beginning of that month, is the Feast of Tabernacles. Not Tabernacles, Trumpets, I am sorry, the Feast of Trumpets. The Feast of Tabernacles is in that month, but to start it is the Feast of Trumpets. Sometimes I get those mixed up. I'm sure you can forgive me for that. At least I hope you can. So I'll put these links up there if you want to check them out and look more into it, because we also see that Jesus coming as a thief in the night is like that lightning strike. You see it at night. It's a thief comes in, he just takes what he wants and leaves everything else. He just takes what is precious and leaves the rest. And that's what happens at this Jewish wedding, is that only the father knows when the son is going to be ready to go get his bride. They're engaged to be married at the Passover, where it's not literally going to be the Passover, but they give this little ceremony where the man wants the woman, offers her the wine, like Jesus did at the Last Supper, the Passover dinner. And when they drink it, they're accepting it, and they're already engaged and considered married. Now, the man has to go prepare a place for them to come together and have their family and be together. But the father is the one who's going to tell the son when everything is set and ready and he can go get his bride. So it's up to the father. And that's why Jesus says, only the father knows, like I have highlighted over here. So the father will tell him, go get your bride. Right? Now, while comparing over here to Luke 12, because I wanted to see Luke if he was going to say no one knows the daily hour, and I wanted to compare the context, right? So I was going through this and looking at this, and Jesus says here at verse 35, talking to, again, Israel, the Jews, let your loins be girded about and your lights burning, and ye yourselves like unto men that wait for their Lord, Jesus, when he shall return from the wedding, that when he cometh and knocketh, they may open unto him immediately. And as he goes on to say, blessed are those servants whom the Lord, when he cometh, shall find watching. Verily I say unto you, that he shall gird himself and make them sit down to meat, and I will come forth and serve them. So this is what we actually see in Revelation. Because we have The day and hour nobody knows. The Feast of Trumpets. Jesus comes like a thief, takes his bride, right? And he's saying, hey, keep your loins girded and your lights burning. As he's talking to Israel, the Jews, not to the church. The church has been taken, and when he returns from the wedding, he wants them to accept him. And when they accept him, they have the wedding feast, which we read about at the end of the tribulation, when Jesus actually comes back with his bride. Right? And I always thought this was weird that I have overlooked this and I haven't heard anybody bring this up. But when I was just comparing it, I was like, when he returns from the wedding, it's like, yeah, see, he raptures, he has a wedding, and then he comes back to Israel, to the Jews. Right? And that's where dispensationalism comes in, where you need to realize that there's three groups here on earth concerning mankind. You have Jews, you have Gentiles, who are everybody who's not a Jew, and then you have the Church of God, which is made up of believing Jews and Gentiles. Once a Jew believes the gospel, once a Gentile believes the gospel, they are no longer a Jew or Gentile. They become one with Jesus as part of the church. There's three separate entities. And then one day soon here, probably this Feast of Trumpets this year, will be a rapture. And there will only be the Jews and Gentiles left. That's why in Revelation chapter 7 and chapter 14, what do we read about? We read about 144,000 Jews and an unnumbered amount of Gentiles. Because we're no longer talking about the church. There's no Jew or Gentile in the church. There's no differentiation. But the church is gone. That's why all of a sudden you have a differentiation between Jew and Gentile. We have it all right here in front of us, but the problem is that we're not really getting close to God. We're not getting into the Bible. We're not reading it for ourselves. We're not humbling ourselves. And we're doing what I actually was talking about in a video I was just making about the Christian authority structure. And now we have these hierarchies, and people, I guess, naturally like that. They like their tribal mentality, having this God king as the head, and they follow that, and they don't differentiate from it. They really lack faith to have God as their God king. They don't just put their faith in his word and their trust in his word. They put it also or completely, totally in man instead. And they rely on their church organization and denomination and its hierarchy of authority. And because of that, they miss out on everything that God is showing us. So you can just compare this with the other videos that I have made about the rapture. I'll put these links into this video. Hopefully I don't forget to do that. Sometimes I do. But I'll just put these couple ones. If you want, you could just do a search like I have here. So you can get some more information on it. It's very interesting stuff. I think Kevin Sorbo, the guy who played Hercules, actually has a movie documentary about the Jewish wedding tradition and the Feast of Trumpets. Very good one. It's called Before the Wrath. I think that's what it is. Look that up. It's a very good one. Very interesting stuff. Get you excited and looking forward to the end of summer. Looking forward to the fall. Very symbolic, the fall. And yeah, I guess that is about that. Thanks for watching and take care.